Alright guys, first and foremost, I believe I have solved the audio issue. A lot of people kept complaining, and I knew for months that the microphone was only recording in stereo when it was being used alongside of a video camera or a webcam. But I believe I fixed it now. You should be hearing it in stereo if you have earphones on, because a lot of people kept making like smart ass comments saying, "Oh, my left ear enjoyed this." So I think that's a long gone issue now. Today, I've been thinking about this for a while. We're gonna talk about the alt right again. Now, back in mid February to maybe early March, on another video I was talking about with the alt right, I was talking about how they were probably going to get into infighting a lot more sooner than the left, the SJWs of yesteryear. And it's kind of weird to think of SJWs as kind of not really a big deal anymore. But it's kind of funny that it's happening so quickly with the alt-right. And I think there might be a few reasons why. Now, let's not make any mistake. I kind of think the alt-right has filled a little void in the political world, at least the U.S. political world. And that is the kind of comfy establishment type of people. Now, that isn't to say that they became these high moralist people, but they've kind of taken the role that the SJWs once held. But I think their problem, unlike SJWs, you didn't really see this often with the SJWs, but the problem with the alt-right is it doesn't really have grounds. It doesn't have firm established grounds on which it stands. With SJWs, it was pretty much one central think tank. Pretty easy to identify them from afar in public because they always looked quite ridiculous. And they just all kind of rallied behind one banner. Now, with the alt-right, you have the alt-right, then you have the alt-right that doesn't think they're the alt-right, and then you have the alt-right who isn't the alt-right but thinks they are in the alt-right. There's a lot of fractured lines here, and everybody's trying to claim that they are or aren't the alt-right, but they really are. Basically, to put it simply, the alt-right was a bunch of far-right-leaning individuals who subscribe to, anti-Zionistic philosophies and race realism that kind of gathered around 8chan, 4chan, and Reddit back in, I want to say, the late 2000s. And that was pretty much the way it was for a while. Then they kind of adopted the title, the alt-right, and I think it was due in part to Milo's efforts that now everybody on the right that may have shared a Pepe meme thinks they're on the alt-right. Now, some of those people are just kind of new age neocons. Some of those people, the term alt-right might be more applicable. Maybe they don't buy into all the racist sentiments that the alt-right espouses, but maybe they're anti-Zionist, or maybe they're pro-Zionist, but also quite racist. But after kind of existing in these Facebook political groups for a while, I kind of got to know the real alt-right. And now, they're starting to fight one another. Because with some of these Hotep hustlers in the African American community, the alt-right has dubbed the catchphrase, "We was kings and shit." But with the alt-right, it's more like, "They was Jews and shit." And my Jew ass laughs at it every time. But now they're fighting against one another. Anybody who does anything that no other member agrees with, they'll start insinuating that they're Jewish, or they'll start to overanalyze people's faces and say, "Oh, you look Jewish. I don't think I can talk to you." It gets more maddening too, because now they think that the Jews are infiltrating the alt right with covert infiltration. Or covert opposition agents, like what people thought with Alex Jones. So now they're kind of self imploding at a drastic rate. And I think eventually they're just going to look ridiculous to the majority of the population, and they'll be relegated back to their image board threads. But that's another interesting point to bring up, because the alt-right, they never really rally in public. They're just simply existing on the internet most of the time. That's a heavy contrast from the moralist left that we saw for the past 8 or so years. Because the left would actually hold rallies, or they'd hold a counter protest against some right wing faction that was holding a campus protest or something. You don't see the alt-right go out into public. You don't see the alt-right try to get people to join their cause. It just kind of seems to be something that if you stumble upon and you like it, join. But with the left, it was quite a bit different. Now, that's not to say that maybe in the future, we won't see the alt-right go out into public, but I think it's highly unlikely. Because even though they have all these conspiracy theories about, how it's Jewish propaganda to be racist, being racist is bad or something, and they have all these backwards views, they still understand that it is very publicly unacceptable to go out and spout the things that they type nonchalantly on the internet. They would be universally condemned. Donald Trump disavows them. Most of the other right-wing factions out there, the libertarians, neocons, all disavow them. They're just kind of left on their own, and I don't really think that they have the traction to gain any political edge. Now, I think that was the same case for the left, but I think they had a little more momentum behind them than the alt-right does. Because, Anita Sarkeesian could be lumped in there. She spoke on behalf of women's rights at the UN. I'd say that's a little more leverage than someone who hangs out on the poll image board and talks about race realism until 4 in the morning or something. So it's going to be interesting in the coming months seeing more of the infighting, and I guess I'll be here to cover it in extensive detail. But it's just weird seeing a group splinter apart that fast. I've never seen it before, and maybe it's in part due to the internet, because let's be honest, internet time is like way faster than normal time. A week on the internet feels like a month in real life. If you're gone for a week, like, you missed out on a lot of shit. So maybe we'll start seeing groups, rapidly dissipate thanks to the advent of the internet. So yeah, that's all I really have to say on this. Until next time.